Sonic the Hedgehog is commonly known as the game series that had a rough transition to 3D. However, did you know that it also had a rough transition to 2D as well? Just look at the first game in the franchise. Wait, not that version! Sonic 1 is a game that I both love and hate. I love it for creating a series that I enjoy, but I also find it has way too many faults for me to admit that it's a good game. One of those that come to mind is making me feel like I'm on drugs. Just look at those special stages. The game starts you off in the first and only good zone in the game, Green Hill. It has everything that I feel makes a great starting world. It has lots of items and rings for you to collect, and tons of alternate paths that can be reached if you're skilled enough. I feel that it also has the right amount of difficulty to it. It isn't too hard, where you'll want to rethink about your life choices, but it also isn't easy to the point where you feel staring at paint is a better way to pass the time. The thing that makes Green Hill the most fun for me is how it handles Sonic's speed. There are tons of opportunities while playing the zone to go fast and build up speed. Obviously, it makes sense why that would be the case, so the player can learn that Sonic is able to move fast, but still. The only real negative I have is the boss. I just feel it's way too easy. I get it's the first zone and all, but I feel they could have done at least something else to make it more challenging, because Robotnik's giant ball of death is pretty mind-numbingly easy, at least to me. After Green Hill Zone is Marble Zone, aka the point of no return. Marble Zone is when the game starts to lose me. The zone is just a snooze fest, as all you're doing for the whole time is jumping and moving from one thing to the next. Even the times when you're not platforming are boring as hell, and you have to stand on these slow-ass bricks floating on lava. There are no areas to go fast for even a few seconds. This one's whole purpose is to waste your time. Spring Yard Zone is alright, it's fine. It's definitely better than Marble Zone at least, but it doesn't quite live up to Green Hill in my eyes. There's just way too many areas that are too platforming focused for me. Green Hill is great because it had a large focus on both speed and platforming. You take away the speed, and all you have left is a generic platformer where Mickey Mouse's long-lost cousin is the main character. There isn't too much else I have to say on Spring Yard Zone, as it doesn't really pique my interest that much. The overload of springs is whatever, it can at least lead to some funny moments, and the boss is nothing to write home about, which goes for most of the bosses in the game. The fourth zone in the game is Labyrinth Zone, also known as Hell. On the surface, it may not look that scary, but let me tell you, looks can be very deceiving. This whole zone is if you took Marble Zone, but you somehow made it worse, because now on top of boring-ass platforming, you have to deal with water. What's wrong with water, you may ask? Well, surprisingly, a lot of things. First of all, moving in water as Sonic makes you move at the pace of a snail. Any and all of your momentum is gone, and you just have to deal with the fact that this is the path in life you decided to go down. That isn't even the worst of it, because on top of that, you have to make sure that you get through each water section as fast as possible. Why? Well, apparently, Sonic can't breathe underwater, and in order to stay alive, you need to find a giant air bubble and consume it. If you don't, well, let's just say Sonic music can be more stress-inducing than life itself. Starlight Zone is on the same level of quality to me as Spring Yard Zone, meaning that I just find it alright. There are moments when you go fast, but only for a few brief seconds. The rest of the zone is just more generic platforming with moving objects and such. The only notable thing I have to say about Starlight is that the boss in the zone is definitely one of the better ones. In each act of the zone, you can find these seesaw things in order to move to higher points. The boss uses this mechanic as Sonic can use the seesaws in order to boost himself up and hit Robotnik. Robotnik can also drop bombs on the seesaws, which Sonic can use in order to throw them back up at Robotnik, which is pretty creative. It's definitely a breath of fresh air, at least compared to Labyrinth Zone's boss, because that one I completely forgot about. All you do for that one is just chase Robotnik up a big corridor with obstacles in your way. It's really nothing special, probably why I forgot about it. Sonic 1's final zone is Scrap Brain Zone, and it definitely isn't that great of a final world. I mean, it's alright, but it mainly consists of, yet again, more platforming, this time with an industrial skin to it. Yay. Hey, at least it's no Labyrinth Zone, that's for sure. Fuck. Scrap Brain Act 3 is Labyrinth Zone, but on steroids. It takes everything I hate about that zone and amplifies it to the extreme in order to make it harder. Given that you move super slow, are given very little air bubbles, and have to deal with a very challenging layout, I highly recommend that you go through the alternate route. It's not only way shorter, but also way easier too. Please do it and save your sanity. Please. Anyway, after a quick trip through the lowest ring of hell, we finally get to the final boss, and it's extremely underwhelming. Robotnik tries to crush you using these pillars, but they aren't that hard to avoid given that you have plenty of time to move out of the way. He also shoots these balls at you, but they move so slow that you can easily move out of the way in time. Once it's all said and done, we get this quick cutscene of Sonic running, and oh, the game's over. However, there's a secret ending that you can unlock. Beat a stage with 50 more rings, and you get to enter the special stage, or as I like to call it, Sonic's Psychedelic Drug Trip. These stages are very annoying and weird to navigate, and you will most likely lose if you don't know what you're doing. Or just button mashing, I mean, that worked for me. Beat a special stage and you get 1 of 6 drug stones. Collect all the drug stones and flowers appear in the ending, wow. So, Sonic 1 is definitely what I like to call a mixed bag. It has a couple things I like, and lots of things I hate. I can see why it left a cultural impact back in the 90s through its clever gimmick, great music, and stellar sprite work. However, given today's standards, the game definitely doesn't hold up. Anyway, that's it. Game's mid. Video over.